Welcome back. Part 2. We're going to make our cone. We're going to decorate around it, and we're also going to finish up with our lid. So let's set this off to the side. Now there are proper ways of making cones, one of which is where you do the full circle, you mark it in the middle, and then you cut and whatnot. For this, I am going to do something, show you something very easy to do, and we're going to tailor it to fit our needs. I have this in reserves, and you are welcome to choose anything in your reserves, except for any sentiments pages, and definitely don't want to use this. I'm choosing this. On the back side is green, and all I want to do is a half circle. I grabbed a plate to help me. And this, by the way, this is about 8 inches by 7 1/4, somewhere around there. You'll be okay. Okay, even if you're 7 by 7, you're fine. So all I'm going to do is, to help me get a curve, is move a plate or something round. If you have the tool that you can use, go ahead. I'm just going to center this here. Move it down a little. And I'm just going to trace around. Just like that. Now, the reason why I'm not being persnickety about this cone is because it's not a fully exposed cone. We're going to be hiding most of it. If you were to be doing a cone that is fully exposed, you'll probably want to do the circle, find your middle, and then, cut a slit or a pie piece out and then make your cone. But we're going to do it like this with what we have. Okay, so we have a half circle here. What we are going to do, we're going to give ourselves a little room here. Measure down from the curve on down to about 4 1/2 inches. Now let's go ahead and just trim that. All you want to do, I want this as my outside. You're going to pull in this side in and pull this side over at an angle. You will get a cone tip. Don't worry about the excess down here. That has to be trimmed up, and we want notches. Once you get that there, just place a little hot glue just to hold it. We're going to add more glue to make sure it stays. So here is our cone. This little piece here, trim it off. Don't worry about anything uneven. Go to your shortest side. Using your ruler, measure down to 3/4. Make a mark. We are going to do this all the way around this cone. And don't worry about being, real straight. It doesn't matter on this. Okay, there is a lot of excess over here. And I'm just going to trim this up. It's all going to fit and be fine. Now with your scissors, being straight, snip. Go to your next line, snip. Your next, snip. Don't worry if you don't look like you're getting straight. We're going to straighten that right on up. And you just want to place several notches around. Now, once you have your cone, if you have areas like this that to you looks uneven, before you do anything, place your cone down. Take a peek and just bend them straight to match up. That's it. It's real simple. So once you have your cone to it's looking straight, it's standing up, it's all good. That's where you can place your glue now to make sure that it does stay steady. Again, this is just a quick makeshift for a cone, and there is a proper way of doing these, but it makes no difference on this. So we're just going to use our glue and glue that down. I'm going to hold mine for a minute so it can catch. Okay, once you've done that, okay, kind of pull out your little notches down there. And this is where you grab your score tape. You can run one to the other side. And at this point, a craft knife would probably help with getting this up. I'm not sure what I did with mine. The end of a paintbrush, if you can get it in there, stick it in there. Again, don't worry about this. It gets covered. So I'm just going to stick mine in there. Make sure all that score tape, those notches. And that is not going anywhere. Like I said, it's good. Now, let's double check here before we go any farther. Is from the bottom, measure to the tip of your cone. If your cone goes over the top of this, push down the top of the cone and flatten it out. Okay? You want to be able to put your ruler on top and your cone top clear it, and mine does. Let's get the top piece to our cone. In your cutout sheet, you will find this gear right here. Let's go ahead and cut it out. Once you cut that out, ink around the edges. The second piece we want is this gear. So let's cut that out. Okay, the bigger one first. All we are going to do is place that on there. Add some glue first. Place it to the top. Take our hands. Push in the two sides. And then you will push down on the other side. And it will kind of make a square look on the top. And I will show you from another angle here. Looks like that. This little this gear just glue right down to the top. This is what your cone should look like. On your sheet, we are going to cut this piece out. Okay, so you will cut this as a separate piece. The wings will come off it. And I just shaved that right on down, and I do need to fussy cut around the wings. Because how this is in order to fit, to clear, we need to be able to put the wings back further behind the clock. So those, we have 3 separate. The under part of the gears is done like this. Now I did not go and notch out everything, and I'm not going to. So what I did was I just trimmed around it. Once you ink around the edges, you'll find you won't need to. Okay, if you want to dust a little bit of your ink over the white, you can do that too. So it's definitely not necessary. And you will want to, once you fussy cut around your clock, you will be inking around the edges. And then you will also do it on your wings. And we may have to cut down the wings a little bit more, but at least let's get started. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've done so you can see. This is what your wings looks like after you fussy cut and you inked. We are going to cut our wings down to look like this. And all you do there is just come in from the side and snip. You're good to go. That way it isn't such a thick wings, and you have a better chance of having that fit a little nicer in there. Positioning your wings so that they will fit in here. Now I did curl mine forward a little bit on mine. So our wingspan with it slightly curled is just bring them together until you are about 3.5 inches across. So if you watch, if I was to glue it like this and mount it right here, and hopefully you can see, when I pull up the sides it will slightly touch, but it's okay because they're already curled, and then our wings will keep its shape. Okay. So all I'm going to do is keep that pinched. I'm going to add a little bit of glue in here so that it doesn't get away from me. And now I'm just going to add some glue to the back of my timepiece. Don't really need any at the top. We're going to slightly overhang just on the neck a little bit there. I'm going to set this up the best I can so you can see what I'm doing. This is going to get glued right like this. I'm just going to use hot glue for a moment, just down the center. Yep. And it will stay once our sides are up. Save these for the side, or set them to the side. We'll get to those in a moment. Next thing on our list, let's fussy cut the goggles out and ink around the edges. I got my goggles. Now the trick with this is the only place you're going to put glue is right here and right here. This is just going to slip right up underneath here. Like so, because what's going to need is we have to slip our owl in. So, just like that. Now, the owl that we want is a specific size that's not too big and not too small. In your paper pack, you'll see him right here. Let's fussy cut him out. Alrighty. This is hard to do when you're dimensional like this. Okay, I fussy cut mine out, and you definitely will want to ink around your edges. The only place you're going to place glue on him is on this wing here that I'm holding on to. He is going to slide right behind the goggles, and he needs to, and then you can just pinch the goggles to hold him there. Pull about his tail. We will glue him down more, but first we have something else. And I'm just trying to balance this out so it looks right. We did ink around the edges. This is where this comes into play, and I'm just going to apply some glue here. And I'm just going to slip right behind the owl, as you can see. On your sentiments panel, let's cut out Grand Adventure. Okay, cut it on the right side of that E, and then on the other side. Oh, and I did cut off this top part, so it's just a strip like that. Let's ink around our edges. Okay, add in the back of this, in the middle, add some 3D dots or your foam. Remove the backing off your 3D dots, and this is just going to place right across like this. You can pull out the sides there. Oops. So you should look like that. In your paper collection, let's grab a fresh sheet here, and we do need to get the hat out. Let's fussy cut around the hat. Okay, in your scraps, find a piece of that gear paper that matches down here. And all I did was cut it, bend it in half so that the gear is still showing up. I added glue to the back of the hat so that it would fit and you wouldn't be able to see that. And I brought it down. And now you can trim this up. You're going to add a little bit of glue. We just made a little tab so that it will stand up. And I'm going to place that down so you can see dimensional. Okay, now this is where scrap strips will come into play. Just cut them down, grab your pencil, and just start wrapping them around to curl them. To get them going with the curl. Then all you are going to do is add a little glue there and attach it to the top so that it's kind of streaming down. Here's another one. And I'll just wrap it. Apply glue, and then once you have these on, all you have to do is just pull on them any way you want to position them. So, and you just keep piling them. And I'll show you where I'm at right now with the strips. You just keep adding. I think I have a total of 4, so I've got one here, and just get that over there, and I'll grab another one here. Okay, this is what I've got so far. Let's turn it around. Here's the other gear that we inked around. All we are going to do here, I'm having a hard time. I'm going to place a little bit of glue there. Hopefully you can see what the heck I'm doing. And I'm just going to place it right like that. Okay, there are a couple pieces that we are going to need, and if you would like to just cut around the key, we want that leaf, and then you can fussy cut them once you get them out. It's easier to get these out. Just these two. And the small hat. So let's get that cut out and fussy cut. And let's see, let's start with that for now. We've got enough to cut here. Let's start with this itty bitty small hat. And all I'm going to do is grab some of that paper that matches down here. And I want to make sure that this is narrow, so I'll make this fit so it will fit the back side of the hat. Right like that. And I can cut this down. And now all I have to do, because I got it hooked on there, is place it right here, right in front of those gears. Grab the leaf, and I snipped off the stem. I'm just going to add a little glue, and I'm going to glue it right like this. Let's get the key cut out. Okay, the key. Oops. We need another owl, and if you find this in your paper pack, flip it over. Let's get this owl cut out. Best way to do this is just cut this panel on out and then cut on in here. I got him out. I have him inked. Let's put some 3D dots down the center of him. All right, let's place him. I'm going to hold this up just like this. If you want to bring them down farther, you can. The other one I did. In your paper collection, cut out Moments with You. You're going to want to add some 3D dots to the middle of that. And you're just going to put that right like that. If you would rather just glue it straight down, go ahead. Let's go ahead and get that ready. In your reserves, you will have this. We are going to get at the hat now. Let's cut that out. We're almost done. Once you've cut the hat out, you are going to place some pop-up dots to the back. And you are going to place this to where you can still see part of the clock. And you'll see the Moments with You, and it should fit right like that. And then you can position these. Whoops, mine didn't stick. May have to add a little glue there. Okay, there we go. And then you can play around with these to position however you like. Okay, now if you want to cut out another gear to place on top of here, because our other one's all covered mostly, you can just cut one out from actually the gear paper like I've done and just stick it right on top. You should be able to close easily like this. Let's get our lid ready. Let's grab our piece of black cardstock, measure over 8 1/8 of an inch, and cut it. And then you're going to cut the other side down to 8 1/8. and then we're going to get our scoreboard out. You are going to score at 1 inch and 2 inch line on all sides. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. First thing you are going to want to do is cut on the inner score up to where it meets this line. We're going to do it there. We're going to turn it, so now we have one cut here. Yes, that's right. We're going to cut it up to right here. Let's finish this part off. Cut here and cut in from the side. You will have this and you will have this. Okay? Here, you're going to cut in here and here. I'm going to show you what we're doing here so that you can kind of understand, so you don't get confused. What's going to happen is this is going to fold down and this is going to fold too, leaving us a place for our little tabs to hook on. Okay. So we're here and we're cut here. Let's turn this. And we'll just do that right over here as well. Here. And here. Now let's cut this little piece off. Okay? This is where we're at. We are going to cut here and here, and we're just going to cut this little tab off. Oops. Okay, let's go ahead and fold on all of our scored lines. Okay, first things first. We are going to flip this over, upside down. Let's grab our score tape. These little tabs right here, we are going to place the score tape Let me make sure before I do this. That is correct. I just want to double check myself because it's easy to get behind. Okay, we are upside down, so if you were to lay it down, it wants to pop up. Your first little tab here, place a piece of score tape here and here. If you go over the edge, we'll trim that up in a moment. Here on that flap and here. Okay, everywhere that you went over on, if you flip it over, you can see where the white is. Trim off that score tape. Let's just clean this up. Okay, I'm going to remove the score tape off one side of this flap here. And this is just, this type of a lid is just a nice clean way to hide your little tabs. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. See that? I'm going to move this tab over onto the crease like so, and I'm going to pull up my side so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do this all the way around. We probably should have put our score tape on these flaps, but we did not, so we're going to deal with it. And all I'm doing is running a piece of score tape, and you can pinch off a piece if you'd like, on the inside of those flaps. And I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'll show you here in just a moment how this works. If you'd like to fold them back at this point, you can. But they're on the inside. So I'm just going to move here, and I can trim it up. This will work better for me than trying to get inside that box. And we'll do the last one. All right, let's remove the score tape, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do so that we don't have any rough edges or whatever. It's going to be a smooth edge. All we are going to do is roll this in and over like that. And it just toughens up our edge. See? And covers our inner. So let's go ahead and remove the score tape, working on one by one. And fold in and over. Grab your box now. Let's try and test it. Put the lid over, and it should slide on nicely. Just like that. Now there is a trim, and I chose to do that after the fact and go around, just so it doesn't catch as much. So let's take our lid off. Let's grab our 1/2 inch Martha Stewart punch. I'm going to back out now. All we're going to do, and I grabbed this out of reserves, is we're just going to punch along the long side here, and we'll punch along the long side here, and then we'll trim it to fit. So let's start our punching. Okay, what you're going to do is place this down, and at the tip of your trim there, you are going to grab your pencil, and at the 3/4 of an inch mark, you're going to make a mark. You're going to flip this around, and at the 3/4 inch mark, now let's go ahead and trim these pieces off. And we are going to be covering them. I slid my lid back on because it's easier for me to work like that with that on there. This is going to place right across here. So flip this over and run a piece of score tape. It should fit right on the black on each one of these. I'm going to remove the score tape, And I'm actually going to start with it slightly over the edge and lining that up. And I'm going to wrap that around there. And I'm just going to go around. Make sure your score tape does not get on your box. Just want it on the lid. And I'm gonna, where am I? Right over here. I'm gonna start where the edge of that is actually. If I need to cut another piece, I will, so that it fits better. And wrap that around. So you should be like that. In your reserves, you will find this. Go ahead and trim right on down to release this. On this trim piece, what you're going to do is you have two greens and they're almost identical in color. But we do need to have a little bit of down in here. So from the edge, you're going to measure over 7/8 of an inch and cut that. Okay, we're going to do this on all sides. You will need your ink and your dauber. You are going to lay this down just like that to where you can still see the black on each side, and you're going to make a mark. And we're going to cut that. You are going to then do it again. All your sides should be the same, so I mean you don't really need to flip this around, but they should all be the same. And you are going to cut to trim. And that should fit perfect. We need one more. In your paper pack, you will have this. Let's take that off. And then we're going to do the same thing. Measure over 7/8 of an inch and cut. Okay, got my last piece here. I'm just going to measure up what I need. And cut that. We're going to ink around the edges of all of these. Once you've inked around the edges, we're just going to glue those down to each side. So let's do that. Okay, I've got mine all down. Now cut a piece of twine and we are make it into a bow, and what we're going to do is attach that. You should have set this off to the side, ink around the edges, and glue that down. Now when gluing this down, preferably is score tape. So I am going to use score tape to glue that down, to adhere it down. Now in your reserves, the back side is this, of course. Where is this little panel here? It says documented, discover the world, cherish moments, and timeless. We're going to cut that out. You'll want to ink around the edges of all this. So let's go ahead and start with this side where the bow is. We are going to grab timeless, and we're just going to add a little bit of glue to the back of this and just mount that right there, right center. Let's flip it. Discover the world. Right here. Cherished Moments is the next one. And the last one is Documented. Oops. Okay, we need a couple pieces. And in your cutout sheet, we are going to cut the train out. On your other, let's see, what else was there? There was a larger gear. On your other cutout sheet, the one that we've barely gotten into, we want this gear. We're going to cut out right here. And then we want the larger gear. We're going to cut out. Fussy cut. And once you fussy cut those out, you will ink around the edges. And one more thing, a Grand Adventure. Let's get that too and ink around the edges. On the Grand Adventure, you will have to cut it down a little bit shorter. You're also going to grab a piece of this out of your reserves, and you are going to just use your Grand Adventure as a template here. But we're just going to cut around it so you can see a little bit of this framing around that. And we'll ink around the edges of that too. Okay, a Grand Adventure gets glued down right here. We're almost done. Right like that. And you will want to put the foam 3D dots underneath this one. On the train, I did double up with that. So, with that being said, I had one more gear. Must have gone on the floor. Whoops. I lost it. That's okay. Right here. This is where this needs to be placed. Right like that. The small little gear thing we just cut out that I misplaced, where could it be? It's going to get placed right over here to where it's hanging out. Okay, I can't find mine. Mine got legs and rolled off actually. Wait a minute, I think I see it. Oh, yay, never mind. Here we go. It did get on the floor. Just add a little bit of glue to that. There is no pop-up square with that. And that just gets placed right there. So you can see. Okay. This, like I said, it does have the doubled up as far as the foam, the 3D pop-up, and this just gets placed right like this. Make sure that that stays. We are done, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. My next one, I am going to be making a mini album with the Steampunk Daze, and I have a new design, actually something really neat to incorporate into it if I can pull it off. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.